Suleiman Raheem here. Welcome. Assalamu alaikum. Let's slay some demons. Brothers and sisters, sisters and brothers, these are some trying times. I want to show you a video. As I was saying earlier, previous presentation, we have a tailwind. The universe is behind us. And this message, the angel message, is just gaining more strength. Hurricane strength, tornado strength every day. Because everything is bearing witness. Now, if you study Exodus, and I've been encouraging you to study Exodus, because Exodus gives you a clear guideline as to timeline and a guideline as to what's going on and what to expect and what has happened. Starting from the time of Rod's arrival to announce that he's going to enforce the Abrahamic covenant and raising up Elijah Muhammad to be a reminder of it. Followed by a line with Aaron, Farrakhan, then Joshua, who would be the one who fulfilled the covenant. Or Jesus, Joshua, Jesus, same name, different languages. So if you study Exodus, it tells us that there will be this plague, this final plague that will kill the firstborn, meaning the elderly, that will pass over us, the true seed of Abraham. It will pass over the true seed of Abraham. Think about that. That's a very powerful sign, a very powerful sign. Now we see false Israel over there claiming they're the true seed of Abraham, and the plague is whooping their ass. The plague, I mean, they have one of the worst outbreaks on the planet. But Africa is barely being touched, and we're going to show that. And they're not telling that over here. And you can just Google it, but they're not telling. Why am I not talking about it over here? Oh, blacks are dying disproportional, because they're lying. The blacks that are dying are not the slave masters' children. Original blacks are not dying unless they elderly and have their health is compromised. Otherwise, they're not dying. I'm 71 years old. I don't wear a mask, and I'm well. They can't tell you that. They're hiding that truth. And you see this in this. You can go. I'm going to show you one video. You can go out and find many more. They can't explain why it's not happening in Africa. They can't explain it. Of all the countries in the world, it's not happening in Africa. It's not happening here among original black people. It's the demons that are getting it. Slave masters' children. See, it's hybrids. Demons. See, those are the ones that are dying from it. They can't tell you that because that's a powerful sign. They're doing everything else. Why are they not reporting that? They're reporting about everybody else, Europe and everybody else, in South America, but nothing about Africa. So let's look at this video and then we come back, okay?
Lack of coronavirus outbreaks in Africa. The novel coronavirus has infected more than 20. Scientists can't explain puzzling lack of coronavirus outbreaks in Africa. The novel coronavirus has infected more than 26.35 million people, with just 4 countries accounting for over 15 million cases. They are America, Brazil, India, and Russia, the same 4 that have been at the top for months. The U.S. surprised the world when it rose to the top spot in multiple COVID-19 statistics, both for the total number of confirmed cases and the number of deaths. Since then, no other country has surpassed America. But scientists who are studying the pandemic have also identified another surprise in the pandemic. Some expected the African continent to be affected most heavily by the virus, but that wasn't the case. South Africa stands out when it comes to the number of total cases, with nearly 631,000 infections. But fewer than 15,000 people have died of COVID-19. These figures are puzzling scientists looking to understand how the virus behaves and how it can be beaten. The hypothesis that poverty should have a significant impact on the spread of the virus doesn't stand when it comes to the entire African continent. Developing countries like Brazil and India showed that the virus couldn't be contained once it reached densely populated, but poor, neighborhoods. Experts expected the same thing to happen in Africa, but it didn't. If anything, Africa is doing better than any other continent, both when it comes to cases and casualties. As BBC News explains, even if those numbers are significantly underreported, Africa still has it much better than other continents right now. I thought we were heading towards a disaster, a complete meltdown, Professor Shabar told BBC News. The nation's top virologist echoed what others must have thought about the African coronavirus outbreak. But South Africa's death rate is almost 7 times lower than in the UK. Salim Abdul Karim, the head of the country's COVID-19 response team, told BBC that most African countries don't have a peak, which is surprising. I don't understand why. I'm completely at sea, he added. He explained that factors like population density would be a critical factor that would favor the rapid spread of the illness inside the African continent. Crowding in poverty-stricken areas makes social distancing all but impossible, and that increases the risk of COVID-19 spreading. One hypothesis that can explain the disparity between Africa and other continents concerns the overall age of the population. In general, the population of Africa is younger than in regions hardest hit by COVID-19. Another hypothesis will sound familiar to those who have been following coronavirus developments closely. Some researchers have shown that other human coronaviruses that cause common colds can elicit an immune response that could provide protection against COVID-19. South African researchers went to work on that idea, attempting to analyze 5-year-old blood samples that were conserved from a flu vaccine trial in Soweto. The plan was to look for any evidence that would explain why the African continent is faring much better against the illness than others. Those samples were compromised by technical issues that put a stop to the research. But the idea stands. The same crowded neighborhoods that would lead to the quick spread of other coronaviruses may have protected the population from SARS-CoV-2. It's a hypothesis. Some level of pre-existing cross-protective immunity might explain why the epidemic didn't unfold the way it did in other parts of the world, Mali said. The protection might be much more intense in highly populated areas, in African settings. It might explain why the majority on the continent have asymptomatic or mild infections. I can't think of anything else that would explain the numbers of completely asymptomatic people we're seeing. The numbers are completely unbelievable, he said. But if that hypothesis is true, why have Brazil and India seen massive COVID-19 surges in the past few months? Karim warned that even considering the evolution of the pandemic on the continent so far, Africa isn't out of the woods. I'm not sure whether one day the epidemic is going to spread like crazy here, he said.
Okay, I need to do that again, brothers and sisters. That was an error on my part.
Scientists can't explain puzzling lack of coronavirus outbreaks in Africa. The novel coronavirus has infected more than 26.35 million people, with just... Scientists can't explain puzzling lack of coronavirus outbreaks in Africa. The novel coronavirus has infected more than 26.35 million people, with just 4 countries accounting for over 15 million cases. They are America, Brazil, India, and Russia, the same 4 that have been at the top for months. The US surprised the world when it rose to the top spot in multiple COVID-19 statistics, both for the total number of confirmed cases and the number of deaths. Since then, no other country has surpassed America. But scientists who are studying the pandemic have also identified another surprise of the pandemic. Some expected the African continent to be affected most heavily by the virus, but that wasn't the case. South Africa stands out when it comes to the number of total cases, with nearly 631,000 infections. But fewer than 15,000 people have died of COVID-19. These figures are puzzling scientists looking to understand how the virus behaves and how it can be beaten. The hypothesis that poverty should have a significant impact on the spread of the virus doesn't stand when it comes to the entire African continent. Developing countries like Brazil and India showed that the virus couldn't be contained once it reached densely populated, but poor, neighborhoods. Experts expected the same thing to happen in Africa, but it didn't. If anything, Africa is doing better than any other continent, both when it comes to cases and casualties. As BBC News explains, even if those numbers are significantly underreported, Africa still has it much better than other continents right now. I thought we were heading towards a disaster, a complete meltdown, Professor Shabar Madi told BBC News. The nation's top virologist echoed what others must have thought about the African coronavirus outbreak. But South Africa's death rate is almost 7 times lower than in the UK. Salim Abdul Karim, the head of the country's COVID-19 response team, told BBC that most African countries don't have a peak, which is surprising. I don't understand why. I'm completely at sea, he added. He explained that factors like population density would be a critical factor that would favor the rapid spread of the illness inside the African continent. Crowding in poverty-stricken areas makes social distancing all but impossible, and that increases the risk of COVID-19 spreading. One hypothesis that can explain the disparity between Africa and other continents concerns the overall age of the population. In general, the population of Africa is younger than in regions hardest hit by COVID-19. Another hypothesis will sound familiar to those who have been following coronavirus developments closely. Some researchers have shown that other human coronaviruses that cause common colds can elicit an immune response that could provide protection against COVID-19. South African researchers went to work on that idea, attempting to analyze 5-year-old blood samples that were conserved from a flu vaccine trial in Soweto. The plan was to look for any evidence that would explain why the African continent is faring much better against the illness than others. Those samples were compromised by technical issues that put a stop to the research. But the idea stands. The same crowded neighborhoods that would lead to the quick spread of other coronaviruses may have protected the population from SARS-CoV-2. It's a hypothesis. Some level of pre-existing cross-protective immunity might explain why the epidemic didn't unfold the way it did in other parts of the world, Madi said. The protection might be much more intense in highly populated areas, in African settings. It might explain why the majority on the continent have asymptomatic or mild infections. I can't think of anything else that would explain the numbers of completely asymptomatic people we're seeing. The numbers are completely unbelievable, he said. But if that hypothesis is true, why have Brazil and India seen massive COVID-19 surges in the past few months? Karim warned that even considering the evolution of the pandemic on the continent so far, Africa isn't out of the woods. I'm not sure whether one day the epidemic is going to spread like crazy here, he said.
Okay, brothers and sisters, you watch that video, she'll tell you everything you need to know. So I've been telling you, read Exodus, the whole entire continent of Africa is least affected than any place on the planet. That should tell you something. According to them, they should be the worst because, we're dying in disproportionate numbers. That's a lie. See, that's why I've been giving you percentages. And the ones that are dying here are demons anyway. That's their children, black-faced devils. And the ones on Africa, if you listen carefully, the ones that are probably dying there, they have their demons there too also. And it says, they talk about population age, so it's probably very elderly or health compromised. Or if you factor that in, eventually, probably no one is dying in Africa. Normal people are not dying there. Normal black people are not dying there from this virus. And they can't explain it. Well, I'm explaining it. Exodus explains it. It's going to kill the elders, it's going to kill them and not us. And they can't have you understand that here. They know exactly what that means. Why am I not telling you about Africa? You don't hear it on the news. They talk, oh, how bad is every place else. They don't mention Africa ever. And it's all, you can go there on YouTube and see it's all over the place. Brothers and sisters, they're lying to you. They're trying to get you off this covenant, Abrahamic covenant. They can't want you to see that. Look, it's Passover. It said it will pass over you. But look at false Israel. It's tearing them up. They have to lock down. They're getting it worse than anybody else. See? And they're supposed to be the one that's passed over. 1619 to 2019, 40 years, 2020 would be the year of the plague. It came in exactly on time. And it's killing the elderly, the firstborn, as it said, it's passing over us. They can't have you see that. It's so clear. I mean, it's so clear. And they're doing everything they can to make sure you don't see it. It's so clear. I mean, how clear can it be? 1619, even if Lion Farrakhan is distorted. Oh, no, 1555. Yeah, we came here in 1555, but enslavement didn't start in 1619, even by their records, even by our records. Elijah Muhammad said 64 years it took to turn us into slaves. So slavery started in 1619. So he's on board with their lives. Oh, we came over here because we was brought here because we were wicked, so we're being punished. That's not the Abrahamic covenant. That's a lie. He's right on board with them. You can't see that. See? They do everything to get you not to see that. Because they got their last desperate move to get you to forsake that covenant. If they can't get you that, they're going to outright kill you. Trump's message to you is accept that, forget about that covenant, accept reparations, or die. The whole idea about reparations, they want to give you reparations, but they got to have everybody on board. Everybody has to be on board. They got two problems, right? They get that's why I call these Negroes in the Democratic Party. Because if you are part of that, right, if the majority accept it, then you have to go along because that's your agreement. You got to go along with the majority. That's democracy. So they got them. They don't have to have 100% there. Just have to have the majority. But when it comes to the Nation of Islam, that's outside of that Farrakhan is trying to bring you into it, back into that, the democracy thing, see, then we're not a part of that. So they can't apply that to us. See, because whoever the leader is, right, if they say, right, if they say that you have to go along with it because we're not part of the democracy thing, see, and they knew it wasn't going to get Elijah Muhammad on board with that. So they got Farrakhan on board with it. But the problem is, everybody ain't listening to Farrakhan. Because if everybody, if you got all the ones in democracy, you got them, now you got the rest of this group. Now if they can get them and Farrakhan, they all listen to Farrakhan, and Farrakhan say, okay, we're going to take separate reparations, the deal is closed. That's it. See? And then all of a sudden they're off the hook. Because instead of the promised land that we're supposed to get, we opted out for 10 swine-soaked steaks and some money that got their face on it that would be worthless within 10 months. And then we took that deal. So they're off the hook. We accept that as payment for what they did to us. That's legal. That's illegal. If we accept that, it's legal, and Pharaoh will honor it because he honors contracts. Read the story about Jacob and Sue. See, he tricked them out of his heritage, but God honored it because God honors contract because the covenant is a contract. And if we say we don't want to fulfill that contract, we're going to accept what Master give us, then the contract is null and void, and they're off the hook. So they're not going to be punished. Why are they punished? Because they paid it off. See, because punishment is paying them back for what they did. But if we set money for it or whatever, then they're off the hook. Everybody's off the hook. Because we ain't going back to Saudi Arabia. We ain't getting our land back, so the Arabs, they're off the hook. The Jews off the hook because now they can still pretend they deceived Abraham. See? America's off the hook because now, hey, what you punishing us for? We paid them off. They accepted the payment. But see, everybody ain't going along with Farrakhan. And they've been trying to get me. I mean, I can show you. I'll talk about it one day. They've been trying to take me out. But it's just not me. There's a lot of other black folks out there that just ain't going along. That, you know, the kind of little, hey, man, that reparation deal ain't sound too cool to me. They ain't stupid. Because if just one don't accept it, then everybody still got to pay because the contract still has to be fulfilled. There's only one left. The contract still has to be enforced, fulfilled. That's God's word. That's Allah's word. They know that. So if they can't get you to abrogate that contract, get you to hate it, despise it, walk away from it, reject it, take some bamboozle BS over here on the side, you know, you pay for a Lamborghini, but they're going to sell you a Volkswagen Beetle and you're going to take it. That's the whole idea. And Farrakhan's your salesman. He's a salesman. He's your salesman. They need someone that you can trust. Listen to me very carefully. I've been saying it over and over again, but I'm going to say it very carefully and very slowly. But some of you, right, you have to say it very slow. We spent 400 years here as a sacrifice. Read the Abrahamic covenant, it applies to us. 400 years here. No other people have ever experienced 400 years of slavery anywhere. 400 years in a foreign land. The reward for that sacrifice is the best part of the planet Earth, which is North Africa, currently called Saudi Arabia, which is covered by sand to protect it, that beautiful, rich land from the tamperings of Yaqub's crafty creation during the 6,000-year period. That's our reward. So if someone's telling you we're not going anywhere, he's telling you you're not getting paid for the work you put in. You're not going to get paid for work you put in. That means they are telling you that that covenant you made with God is null and void. That God lied to you. You're not getting anything. Think about that. He's telling you that God lied to you. Or otherwise he's telling you that you're not part of that contract. Either way, he's null and void in that contract. He said either you're not a part of it or the other party is not going to honor it. That's what he's telling you. We're not going anywhere. That is the reward. That is the reward for our sacrifice. If you say you're not going anywhere, that means you're not getting any reward. That means God lied to you. Or either you're not a part of the contract, you're not the other part of the contract who did the sacrifice. Because that's another way of coming at it. If we was over here because we were sinful, then who gets the reward for being punished? If this being over here slave was a punishment to us, who gets the reward for being punished? He's getting you on both ends. He's saying either You're not a part of the contract because you didn't sacrifice anything. You over here because you punished. That's what he's telling you. Or other way, side of it is, you ain't getting anything because you know you didn't make the sacrifice. You're not the people. That doesn't apply to you. So everything Farad and Elijah Muhammad did meant nothing. Because that's the whole reason why they came here. Farad came here to tell us he's going to enforce that contract. Elijah came here to remind us and tell us about the contract. And Joshua's here to fulfill the contract. Now, I hope you understand that. It can't be any clearer than that. If you understand that, you understand everything comes clear because you know who your enemies are, who your lies are. See? They're trying to get you to run on board that contract. And they're telling you, oh, you die. Didn't we come from Africa? Are we the same people? We got the same heritage. So why are we dropping like flies over here and it's hardly affecting them at all? And the ones that are affected, if you listen carefully, it's the elderly anyway. The real affirmed older people. There's the younger people who's not having them at all. And they got their demons also. They wasn't colonized. So that's who's killing. And the ones killed, we are demons. Like I said, I'm 71 years old. I don't wear a mask. I've been all over the place. Do I look like I'm sick to you? Brothers and sisters, it's not going to, you might get sick. It's not going to kill you. And that sickness is mostly if you've been struggling with your health. Okay, brothers and sisters, let me move into this presentation quick. I want you to, you can Google it. Just go on YouTube and Google Africa, how is Africa affected by the virus and things like that, and this stuff will come up. Africa hardly knows they exist. Why? Of all the continents now, the whole continent of Africa, not just one country, the whole continent. That should tell you the whole continent. That means original people ain't getting it. They ain't dying the whole, if it says it's one country, Zambia or South Africa or Rhodesia, or Congo, or Nigeria. No, the whole damn continent. Is hardly touching it, but it's kicking ass all over the planet. And who's getting the worst? Right here, as Exodus says, they're getting the worst right here in America. Now, brothers and sisters, if that doesn't wake you up, that doesn't push your button, I don't know what will. 1619 to 2019, 40 years, 2020 will be the year of the judgment, which will come in with a plague that will kill the firstborn, and not you. The firstborn is another way of saying elderly, but not you. And if you study Exodus, if you understand Judaism is based on the whole idea of Exodus. The whole religion is based on Exodus. And they control the media, right? Hollywood, right? Academics, and so forth, finance. So when this plague hit, right on time, 2020 came in like a bang. When it hit, and they saw these white folks dying, they know about 1619, 29, even talking about 1619 now. They knew exactly what that meant. They taught that from the womb. They knew exactly what that meant. And they said, hey, because remember, false Israel, the only reason it's there is because they had to counter Elijah Muhammad's narrative that we're the true seed of Abraham. And they said, no, that can't be them. So they said false Israel. People that was just 5 minutes ago burned up in chimneys, going up in smoke. They behaved for 1,000 years. All of a sudden they love them to death. They asked to become honey pots and everybody's eating honey. That's got to shake you right there. And they've spent trillions of dollars keeping that lie going because they cannot afford to have people think that you are the true seed of Abraham. And it's breaking America trying to keep that lie going. And now this here comes, and this is a proof, right? That we're the true seed of Abraham because it's passing over. And they said, yeah, we could let that happen. Because if they see that, man, wow, they see that. So we got to say they dying disproportionately, which is a percentage, that's why I never give you numbers. It's a percentage. So if 10 people get it and 9 people die, 90%, 9%, but only 10 people got it. They're lying to you. They don't want you to know who you are. And if you don't accept this reparation deal, they'll kill you. That's their deal. Accept it or die. Accept this flim flam. And Farrakhan is your salesman. It's not going to work. But that's what they're doing. It's not killing you, brothers and sisters. The ones that's killing this demon. Was one of the first ones. They don't talk about Nathan Islam anymore. Farrakhan's Nathan Islam. Because, hey, as soon as it hits, start wiping out his people. He's around wearing a mask. They tell me he controls it. Well, if you control it, why are you wearing a mask? His top minister, gone, bam. And a lot of these people are dying like flies over there. They're dying like flies over in Farrakhan's Native Islam. They're dying like flies over there. They're not telling you. They're not telling you. They ain't talking about it no more. Remember all of a sudden they gave all those names. They don't talk about it no more. You mean nobody's died since then? They're dying like, they're dropping like flies over there. Because they're all demons. Okay, brothers, let's move into the presentation. Okay, brothers and sisters, kill firstborn, COVID-19, pass over us. See, that's exactly what happens. Firstborn means the elderly. The firstborn is the oldest. I just want to point some symbols out here, right? These are some of the symbols, right? The original nation is referred to as the 7 golden lampstands. Caucasian nation is referred to as 7 lampstands. The difference. The original nation also referred to as the 7 eyes. The original nation also referred to as the 7 spirits. Okay? On the right here, now gold represents Islam in the Injil. On the right here, right, what we have is this represents Asia. In the Injil you have, first you have Africa as one nation, has 6 wings. That's the one's like a lion. The one like a eagle that has 6 wings. That's the European nations. One a face of man, that's Oriental nations, right? And one like a calf, that's the Asian nation, right? Okay. Now the top part, the top 2 wings are the Islamic part of it. See? So I made an error here, but I'm not going to change it. You see here, we'll see in the next page. Right here, you see where it says dragon? Well, that's the calf. That's the calf. That's the Asian nation, more like a calf, right? The Arabs are the Islamic part of it. They're the golden part of it. That's where you get the golden calf from. The golden calf is Sunni Islam. Okay. And then on the bottom down here, that's the earth, Gog and Magog and the Jah. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but I just put that out there for now. And we'll get back to it in a minute. Abraham's seed, this is important. Abraham, there's two lines. There's a line from Sarah, Abraham's wife, and Hagar, Abraham's Egyptian servant. Now remember the story. Egypt is where the tribes of Israel ended up, right, in slavery, which is America. So Egypt is America, okay? So we have from Sarah came Isaac, right? Isaac was sanctioned by God himself because he told Sarah she's going to have this baby in her old age, have a son old age. So he was sanctioned by God. He was the one that was chosen by God, right? Isaac. But Hagar was an Egyptian slave. His Egyptian slave means she was Caucasian. Hagar was Caucasian. She was Egyptian. That means he had his servant was Egyptian or white, Caucasian, right? So she had Ishmael. That's how Ishmael, the Arabs come from Ishmael. That's how they got white. In addition, Ishmael's wife, the Arabs' grandmother, right, was white. Ishmael married white. So his children from his white wife, from his Egyptian wife, was Arab. So their grandmother, right, their mother and their grandmother is white on the parental side. That's how they got white, okay? From him came Muhammad, from him came Sunnism, right? The betrayal and the dragon. On the Isaac side came Jacob. On the Sarah side came Isaac, then Jacob, then Joseph. Joseph, the one that was betrayed and given into the hands of the Egyptians, Caucasians, our slave masters, right? See, and which went from 1619 to 2019. Fraud is out of that line, right? And then Joshua. Elijah is not in that line. Elijah is not out of Abraham's seed. Elijah comes from the tribe of Levites. See, that's a tribe that was grafted in because they're a priest tribe and they're caretakers. And they were supposed to be the one that was fulfilled. Elijah is a Levite. And their mission was prepared. It said, I will prepare the way before me. So he prepared the way before Joshua. But along came Farrakhan, Aaron, and just messed the whole thing up. See, he's the son of perdition. For 42 years, he would deceive the people, make war with the Nation of Islam. Okay, so you have it. See, so the problem that you have with Ishmael and Isaac, right? Ishmael, remember that's where Sunnism comes from. Ishmael feels because he's the eldest son that he should get the inheritance of Abraham. And he's right to an extent, but his mother was not Abraham's wife. She was a servant. So, and God favored Jacob or Isaac. So he would be the inheritor. And that pissed off Ishmael. And they try to hide it, but he's been an enemy to Isaac, right, to us ever since. See? That's one of the reasons why they're trying to get you over to Sunnism. Because Sunnism, they recognize Ishmael as the rightful heir. Sunnism recognized Ishmael as the rightful heir. So he made the sacrifice. What sacrifice? He wasn't sacrificed. Who was the one to sacrifice? But that's what they're saying. That's why they're rich in Sunnism. But if you get into Sunnism, right, then you forget about the contract, the covenant with Abraham. You forget about it because it doesn't apply to you. See, because they already tell you, Ishmael's telling you that the Jews are their brothers. They're telling Jude is Isaac. The Jews are Isaac. They're going on that lie too. That's a lie America is propagating, and Ishmael Arabs are going along with it. So that means they want us to get this contract, because this contract means that land belongs to us. See, that's our land. We're the true seed of Abraham, directly. See, and they don't want that. You have to understand that. So if we go into Sunnism and we accept their line, that means we're nothing. We're just somebody that believes in Islam. That's the whole point. They're your enemies. They sold us in. They sold us out, right? They put us in the hands. That's what it says. They put us in the hands of Egyptians, right, in slavery, And they wanted to kill us. And now that we're trying to finish the job off. Stop thinking about it. Get away from that Elijah Muhammad stuff. Come in Sunnism. Because once you come in Sunni, once you come in Sunnism, you abrogate the contract for yourself because you're saying that Ishmael is the you're saying Ishmael is the rightful heir, not Isaac. So you give up you sign away your contract. You sign away your inheritance, your reward. See, that's the whole point. And they have the same thing. Either go along with that or die. They have the same attitude that America has. All these nations do. Because they cannot accept you being the true seed of Abraham, the one that is going to true inheritor of Abraham. And the thing is, this so-called peace deal, peace, see when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction, that's what it said it'll be like just before the war starts. See? And they will have nerve to call it the Abrahamic Accord. Yeah. So understand this. If you understand this, you understand what's going on. That's why I look white, because their mother and grandmothers are white, Caucasian. When they say Egyptian, to my Caucasians, because that's where we are. We're in Egypt now, right? Just like it's a Caucasian country, ain't it? Okay, I'm not going to elaborate on that too much more, or at all. Now here goes this golden calf I just talked about, right? It says when Moses returned after 40-some years, right? It's about to happen, right? It says, and says he took the calf that they had made and burned it with fire and ground it in powder and scattered over the surface of the water and made the sons of Israel drink of it. You see, that's what he says there. That's telling you Sunnism is about to be wiped out, ground to powder. His day is over. Now Sunnism is about to come to an end. That's what it's telling you. See, his time is over. Again, the golden calf. That's what I had saying before. The calf represents, remember that it had one was like a calf, one was like a lion, one had the face of a man, one was like an eagle. This is like a calf. The top part is the golden part, the Islamic part, right? That's the Arabs, Sunnism, golden calf. See, the house of Saud, according to Angel, they're not even Arabs. The Indians that Europe, that the British put on the throne when they controlled that region to protect the flow of oil. Golden calf. See. Okay. We're going to talk about this quickly. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read it. But it's telling you after you threw it in the fire. But then it tells you about how Moses, Elijah's followers, separate themselves from Aaron's followers. See, now most of the people were out of control, for Aaron had let them get out of control. It was Aaron's fault they was out of control. Not these lying Abdul saying, well, no, he had to get them back in control. No, it says Aaron, Farrakhan's fault that they was out of control. And a derision among their enemies. There was a mockery and derision among the enemies. There was confusion among the enemies, and plus there was a mockery. And nobody respects Farrakhan's Nation of Islam. Nobody respects it. Nobody fears it. And that's nothing like what Elijah Muhammad had. See, they walk around as uniforms, but, you know, the empty suits, like they say. And Moses stood in the gate. So whoever is for the Lord from coming to me, that means whoever's all Elijah Muhammad's followers, right? He's separated from all of Farrakhan's followers, right? But it says the sons of Levi gathered together to him. That means there wasn't sons of Israel. They were sons of Levi. They're the one, those Elijah Muhammad's followers. See? Thus says, say, make sure you get understand, make the Lord God of Israel. That's Rod, right? He's a seed of Abraham. But Elijah Muhammad's followers was not a seed of Abraham. They Levites. They're grafted in tribe. See, they went through the same thing we went through, so they're adopted. It's like you have adopted children, you treat them just like you treat your regular children, only they don't get the inheritance. But they get reward, they get treated like the rest of the children. Right? Every man of you put, in other words, what's happening here, it says that They took Elijah's followers, separated from Farrakhan's followers, those demons and liars over there, because you still got Elijah Muhammad followers in there. But they tired of Farrakhan. I said there's going to be a pretty many day now. When it war starts, they're going to turn. They're going to turn on Farrakhan. Okay, and it says they had Elijah's followers wipe out all of. They slaughtered all of Farrakhan's followers, all of them, family, everything, right? And so the sons of Levi did as Moses instructed. See, they was Levites, not Israelis, not children of Israel. Okay, so you read it. We don't make up stuff here. See? Okay, now we'll go here, and we're going to briefly go through this, brothers and sisters. If you read the story of Joseph, I'm not going. I talked about it yesterday, so I'm not going to go in a lot of detail here. But it says Joseph was the one. We went into what they're trying to tell you here is Joseph was the one that was sold into slavery, right? Okay. So what they're telling you here is, I'm not sure if I can do this without going into a lot of detail. I'm gonna try to. Well, I'm going to. I'm gonna cut corners here. What it's telling you, it says a new. How should I say this? Okay. You have to compare. I'm gonna have to do some detail here. You have to compare Daniel with Joseph. Daniel and Joseph are the same person. They're talking about two different paths here, right? That's connected Jonah. Jonah was told, right, to take and go to Nineveh, the great city. There's Nineveh, that's the nation of Islam. Nineveh, the great city is America. Go to Nineveh and the great city and tell them, right, that they, for 40 days, they will be destroyed. That's 40 years after Elijah Muhammad departed. That will put you at 2015. Okay? Obama was president at 2015. He said, if you don't repent, you're going to be destroyed. Now you have two paths here. You have Joseph and you have Daniel. Both of them are riddle solvers. Both have solved an impossible riddle. They're the same person. At the end, you know, because at the end, both received a gold chain around his neck. So it shows you they're both the same, just use different names. But two different paths. One path is that they listened to Joseph or Daniel, or they don't. Because remember, if they repent, they will be spared. If they didn't, they will be destroyed. So if you read this part about Daniel, Belshazzar is the one. He's African. Remember, Belshazzar. He's the kingdom after Nebuchadnezzar, the silver kingdom. That means he's African. Belshazzar's African, but he was control over a Caucasian nation. What black person has ever been control over a European nation except Obama? So it's lots of information there. So that's Obama. So the thing is that he, right? See, he didn't do. See, Obama is Belshazzar and Daniel. He's also Pharaoh in the Joseph story, right? But it's two different paths. In Obama's, in the Daniel story, right? He doesn't do anything after the vision is broken down. He doesn't do anything. So his kingdom was destroyed the next day while he was president. His kingdom would have been destroyed because he didn't do anything about it. But in the Joseph story, he did do something. He listened to Joseph and he repented. He did what Joseph told him to do. And so his kingdom was saved until the next king. That's what it said. A new king rode and didn't know Joseph. A new king arrived in Egypt, America, who didn't know Joseph. That's the next following one. See? Because what Obama did, that he won this apology tour. And that's why it bugged those Republicans. Why are you apologizing? He repented. So therefore his kingdom was spared until the next one. That means Trump. Trump would be the next one that would bring the kingdom down, all the plagues and stuff upon it. Okay, I said enough there. Hope you understand. Okay, so listen what happens here. Now, this king, this Trump, right? Let's deal wisely with them or shrewdly. At least they multiply and come to pass that when a war falls out, they also join themselves to enemies and fight against us and get them out of the land. Get them out of the land. That means their greatest fear is that if a war comes and they're anticipating a war, that we will turn against them and fight with them fight against them with their enemies. See, we join with their enemies and fight against them. We turn on them. That's their greatest fear. See, and then we'll leave the clan, escape from here. That's their greatest fear. It's telling you right here. See, so and with that, the next part gives you the response. Well, the response is to abort them if you can abort them, but that's not working. See, so they found couldn't work. So said, well, we can't abort them. Let's kill them. If you can't abort them, see, if you can't kill them in the womb, just outright kill them. That's what the story is about. That's what their plan is. That's what their fear is. If you had that fear, what would you do? If you had that fear that your family member was going to turn against you and kill you, what would you do? So this is their fear. It tells you what their fear is. And so it tells you what they plan to do about it. They're going to kill us. See? They try to abort. They can't do that. They can't just fake the covenant. So just kill us. You better pay attention, brothers and sisters. See, that's where we are right now. Okay. What is 200 million? Now, this is one of the ways they were planning on doing it. See, one way they was planning on doing it is throw us in the river. See, that means just kill us. So how was they do that? The thing is, they was going to trump up this war. Trump up the war now. Right? So going to trump this war. No pun intended. Like they try to be so cute and say, they try to trump this war. That's what you see. They're trying to build this war with China, right? Iran and Russia, right? Because they think they control the war. And the whole idea, if you read Injil, 200 million man army, that's India and China. So they're two working together. They would be going up against 200 million man army. There's only 350 million people in America right now. But there's about 3.5 billion people between China and India together. 200 million people is nothing to them. It's almost, they call it birth control. So if they can have an army, that means if they go to war with them against 200 million man army, they'll have to draft everybody in the United States that's draftable, including the female. That's why they've been setting this thing up, including the females. See? So they would have to draft you because they would bring back the draft. They would have to draft you. That's how he was planning to get rid of us. That was one of the plans. So once they get this war going, they draft everybody. That means that everybody that's of the reproduction age, right? And they will put in blacks they have out there, and they would abandon you. You got there, and they would set it up, saying where you would not survive. And once most of you wiped out, significantly the number wiped out, if not all, then they call the war to a stop because they don't want to go. Nobody wants to go nuclear. They threaten nuclear. Nobody wants to go nuclear. But now you're gone. And then mop up the rest was left. The rest is left is elderly or infirmed or something back in. They're easy to wipe them out. Just let them die. And then they name Washington, D.C. after you, Nigger Town. Then you can wash their hands. So see, they died for their country. See, that's the Republican plan. See. Their hands more. Let's deal shrewdly with them. Wisely. Don't let them know what's happening. But the Democrats, they have a different plan altogether. See, they want the same result. They just want to do it differently. They just want to get rid of you. See, okay. So, okay, I'm just going. If you read this carefully, right? It said the sixth angel having the trumpet loosed the four angels. See, the four angels represents the four winds. The sixth trumpet is holding back the first four. The first four has not blown yet. If you read it carefully, if you read chapter 7, they was held back until the sealing took place. And so it was the sixth angel, when he blew, then he released the first four. That's what that's talking about. Anyway, that's their plan. Throw us in the river. Because China and India represents the sea and the rivers. See, throw them in here. See? It tells you right here, upon the river Euphrates, that was holding it back. That's another hint right there. Throw them in the river. Throw them in that battle. Throw them in the Bible that you know they're not going to survive. America's been known to do this before. Throw them in the Bible you know they're not going to survive. See? If you say, well, they're gonna let the women live, okay. If they did, even if they let the women live, that's not what they mean here. Yeah, he did. That means you're still a nation will be destroyed, right? Because the male carries the seed. So what's they gonna do with the females? They're gonna be concubines for these devils. That's what they're gonna use them for after we're all gone. Brothers and sisters. Okay. Now we're going to talk the sixth seal here. If you read the sixth seal carefully, right? What it's telling you is, and you need to understand this, it's telling you, if you understand, read chapter 11, and even they'll tell you, most preachers recognize that the fig tree represents false Israel, right? Okay, if you throw in the unripe figs, that means America and Britain are as figs, if you understand the diagram, right? But those figs were thrown before they were ripe. That means they was planning something, but something preempted their plan, and before they was able to do their thing, what they was going to do, because it was unripe. That means it wasn't ready yet. See, this is what I'm saying. They're planning to kill us. They was planning to do it before the war. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, right? See, this was another plan. This is a democratic plan, right? They'll kill us, right? But before they was execute that plan, Farad executed his plan before they was able to execute their plan. Okay? That's what it means. See, they have stars for, those are the winds. Stars falling on the earth, those are also the winds, right? As a fig tree is throwing unripe figs, where it's been shaken, right? So in other words, that's the war in the Middle East. The war in the Middle East happens before they're ready, because they're supposed to get rest before the war. But that war, that's the reason why they had Michael and angels go to war to save our ass. Because this is a plan to get rid of us. And Michael goes into action. See, Farad goes into action. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now the bottom down here says hide your. These are the ones, right? It says the day of wrath and the day of their wrath has come. That means Farad, not only Farad, but Suleiman, or the Lamb, the one that breaks the seals. It's two, not one. Okay, let's move on. And again, right? Let's emphasize this again, right? Arose new king in Egypt, right? And their fear. This is Trump. And their fear. When they fall out, when they fall out any war, they also join themselves or to our enemies and fight against us, then get up out the land. See? It means we don't belong here. Okay, now I'm going to go through this and then we're going to close up. I'm showing a side by side their plan and Farad's plan. This is the way it was previously, right? Both sides the same, right? Okay. Then their plan was, if you study Adam and Eve, if you study Genesis, Adam and Eve, right? That the angel unlocks that. Their plan, right? Because they was told not to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is one. It's two trees. There's not one tree in the world that produces two types of fruit. It's two trees. There's the tree of knowledge of good, the tree of knowledge of evil. There's also a tree of life, so forth, so on. Right? Their plan, because Adam and Eve was told not to eat of the tree. That means when you eat something, you annihilate it, you consume it, you obliterate it. It doesn't exist anymore. Right? When you eat something, you consume it. It no longer exists. You eat apple, the apple no longer exists anymore. So they was told they could beat us and everything else. That's what told Job, right? But they couldn't kill us. Told him, do not do it. Said, the day you do it, you will die. So if you try to kill him, you're going to die. The same day you try to do it, you're going to die. That means the same year. And they did it anyway. That's what you see on the left. See? Look, compare it to the right. See, it's where Babylon falls and everything. You see, they're covering the NOI, the blacks in America, and the Christians, right? Both. That's one tree of good, tree of knowledge of good. That's the NOI. The tree of knowledge of evil That's the Christians, right? And they ate anyway. Eve ate first, and then talk Adam and eating. Ate anyway. See, so that's their plan to do it before the war starts. See, sackcloth at the bottom down there. That represents the witnesses. That represents Shia or Iran and Syria, right? So they're still at the bottom. They haven't went to war yet. See, they're still. You see, where America, Adam and Cain is on the right hand side. That means they're in the Middle East. See, that position is between the heavens and the earth. That's mid-heaven, they call it in chapter 19. That's the Middle East. See? So that's where they're supposed to be in control. Iran and Syria, but they pushed out because America and Britain, false Israel, now control the Middle East. That's what they're saying. This is where we are right now. Because now you get friction between, you get tensions building up between America and Iran and Syria. So they're moving up, right? And they got the plague, the greenish yellow one there. They call it pale, but it's proper. If you get a translated version, it's really greenish yellow, which is the same color as locust. That's a locust. So, and it also said the two witnesses, they was able to spread plagues, hit the earth with plagues off the wish. Earth represents European countries, right? And so therefore they spread plagues. You got the plague of the locust, and you also got plague, the COVID-19 plague. That's what it's telling you right here. Both of them going on right now, okay? And see, but even now, on the left-hand side, they still want to execute that plan. They still want to execute that plan before the war breaks out. See, they still want that plan. What happens? The war breaks out. See? It means America and Britain, as far as Israel is in direct conflict with the Syria and Iran. Fraud is with them. Okay, that's what you see as a conflict right there, right? Now on the left hand side over here, right? Let's go back one. Remember after Adam and Eve ate, right? Then they was able to see. Now I'm gonna say a little on that. Remember I said that the original nation also are 7 eyes. That means the Noah and the Christian, they have eyes. So when Adam and Eve eat, now they have eyes, they can see. So then that's when they cover themselves. That's what you see right there. That's when they cover themselves. See, that was the way they was going to do things. But it's the way things happen over here on the right. See, so now they're at war. And they get kicked out. Michael's angels, they kick out the dragon's angels. They kicked them out of heaven. See, now they're kicked out. See, that's how the war ends. They're kicked out. Okay? And that's when Babylon falls. America ends up goes to war with Europe, with Russia and EU, which used to be their friends, right? And they also go to war with China, India, because if Adam's in the war, Britain's in the war, America's in the war also. See, so that's when they fall. Chapter 18, and that's when the angel the lamb, that's when he comes suddenly to Elijah's temple, come to NOI. He suddenly comes, right, to clean it up, to move the demons out, to prepare them for the tribulation. He suddenly said, "We come in." He said, "Come with full of soap to clean it up, to clean the demons out." Let's get back to the demon-possessed man in chapter in the book of Mark. So he suddenly comes. That's when he suddenly comes right here. See, he suddenly comes. That's what that's all about. See, because at this point in time, right? See, America and Britain is in the process of getting rid of black folks now, because now the war started. Remember, their fear was if there was a war, but now the war is. See, before it was a fear, but now the war is actually happening. So they fear that before the war happened, now the war's actually happening. So now they already got tanks rolling. Remember what happened when the war started with Japan? Right? So when it started, they rounded up all the Japanese, put in concentration camps. And they like them a lot more than they like us. But here they say they go further. They're going to not just round us up, they're going to kill us. See? And so at this point in time, that's what's happening. The tanks are rolling, the troops build up, the National Guard has been activated to come and get rid of us. And everybody can see it. They surrounding the inner cities. This is what's happening. And that's when the land, they give it Farrakhan, throw them clowns out, right? See, clean it up. See, and Trump is preparing to wipe us out, right? You see a troop build up, right? It's clear. See, and so what happens? Man, fraud has to hit them hard to slow them down. See, they got the tanks rolling, they got the National Guard and everything. That's when the four winds blow. That's the first two of them. Hits them hard. That's what fraud is doing. Hitting them hard. See, slow them down. See, because they come in to kill us. That's when they get hit. Okay? Then all the winds blow, things blowing, and that's when the resurrection takes place. All black folks come together because now they unite. Because now they see death. They see death. The tanks are rolling. The tanks are surrounding the cities. Their intentions are made known. They see blood dripping out of it, dripping from their mouths. So that's when black folks unite. Then, you have to be stupid not to at that point, right? Because you see them coming to kill you. And they know Trump means business. They're already setting this whole thing up already. Oh, Black Lives Matter. They're a terrorist organization. And Antifa. They already setting you up. And all those white folks in there, why do you think they're in there? They're to encourage you. See, to make it look like you. See, they're in there to keep you doing this stuff. So they can say you're a terrorist organization. They ain't there, some of them in there because they sit here right on the wall. They trying to get some points. But a lot of them in there to encourage you to keep doing this so they can identify you as terrorists, as criminals. See? So justify coming in and getting rid of you. And you mostly still got your head up Kobe's ass, this NBA and all that bullshit. And this is happening right before your eyes. So all the black folks come together then. See? But then you still got the same problem you had back in the 60s. See? Black folks came together. But then you had two groups. One wanted integration, one wanted separation. You had Elijah Muhammad, had Martin Luther King. One's a demon, one's original. So even though Elijah, a tribe of Levi, he's grafted in. So, hey, here's the demons. He's led by Farrakhan. Hey, we're patriotic. We're not against you. We're not gonna fight. We're not gonna fight against you. We're not gonna help out your enemies. We're not gonna, we're not gonna help your enemies. You can trust us. See, they still talking that stuff like they talked back in the 60s. Let's integrate. Come on, be nice to us. We love you. We're patriotic. Same bullshit. They're gonna still be talking that crap at this point in time. No, we don't want to leave the country because you got, right? The original people, they ready to leave. Get the hell out of here. See? If Rod's ready to take them. Oh no, we don't want to leave. Remember, the demon-possessed man, read the book of Mark. When he was called out, the first thing he said, please don't make us leave the country. They don't want to leave. The master, come on, master, we with you. We with you. Even then, when they coming to get you, they surround the cities. They still want to talk master because they're demons. And that master is their daddy. We your children. Come on, we like you. We love America. They hear Farrakhan, we love America. They still be talking that bullshit at that time. See? But that's fine because they're not going with us. And so they be separated out. See? That's why I said the chaff and the wheat will be separated out at that point. They be gathered together and then they be separated out. And this is the point. Because they still be talking about You're going to have that division right there. See, when they're both surrounded, right? They come to get both of them. One say, no, that's not the solution, leaving. The solution is trying to talk, convince Master that we're not, because he's afraid that we're going to help. Because remember, he's at war. America's at war at this point in time. They're getting their ass kicked in Russia, in Europe, in China, in North. They're getting their ass kicked all over the place. And you got black folks rioting and stuff here in America, all that kind of stuff. They're really afraid now. So I said, man, we can have this. We at war. We can have this social unrest. He's saying you can have it right now. How do you think he'll be talking once their war starts? We can have social unrest. He already said he gonna go in the seas and stop this shit. Ain't that what he been saying? So how do you think he'll be saying when that war starts? He gonna send troops in to get rid of you, put them in camps. We can't have this bullshit. Lock them, put them in concentration camps, and next thing just burn them up. Brothers and sisters, this is so clear. See? He's saying it right now. If they're at war, they're getting their ass kicked over there. I mean, this is going to be a war. It ain't going to be like World War II. No, like, this is serious business, right? And nuclear, right, on the threshold, nuclear conflict. See? They're getting their ass wiped out. And you can't have social unrest here in America during that time. And you see what black folks are doing. They said, that's what they're doing. They said they got the locusts going, doing their thing, and the next locust group was going to be worse than this one. So you got all this civil unrest, Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff. Think about it. This is going to happen any day now. That's the situation we're in right now. So what do you think Trump was going to do? He's going to round up all black folks, cover and say stop this shit, because we're at war, and nobody's going to oppose them. Because they're going to be afraid because this war is kicking their ass. Everybody's afraid of their enemies, and so they're afraid that you're going to be one of the enemies too. Especially what's going on. And you got the white folks urging you on. That's what they're sending there, right? They're sending there to keep you agitated, right? So you can be marked as terrorist. He's already just said he's going to mark it. Was it Black Lives Matter? He said he's going to name them a terrorist organization along the KKK. What are you serious? They don't hardly exist anymore. But pay attention, brothers and sisters. Okay. So then, what happened? And demon-possessed man in Mark. Okay, he got his wish. He said, okay, we want to stay with Massa. So, okay, let him stay with Massa. Right? He went back to Swam Daddies, and they got to fight him off the cliff. Because he still don't want him. They don't want him. So they stayed with them, and we left. It says, at that time, right, of unprecedented trial, it means a time of death. That's the most unprecedented point in your life, is a time of death. Nothing worse than that, right? That's the time of death when we were supposed to die, when they was planning on killing us. This life was supposed to go through our heart. That's the time we were delivered. That's a time of unprecedented trouble, right? But those who in the Lamb's Book of Life, they were delivered. Then you had two groups that weren't. That was the demons and the saints, right? The NOI. Because one everlasting life, that's the NOI, and one the everlasting apartment, that's the demons. They mean demons down near the bottom. But the NOI, right? They went through the tribulation because that's part of the waters. That's the flood, right? And on short here, I show the horns, but the horns represents, in the bottom, yellow horns are the sea, and brown horns are rivers, and that the waters above it, and that means that's part of the flood, because what you see on top there, that's Noah's Ark. And the flood represents the terror, represents the tribulation, and you see the ark on top of that float, riding on the waters. That's enough of that, brothers and sisters. That's what it's saying right here. See? And you see right there where it said the Christian, that greenish yellow, right? Well, that's the story of Samson. That's also the demons. See? The second is two groups of demons. The first one is 5 months, and the second one is worse, 10 times worse. That's what you have right there. And that's Samson, right? He's between two pillars. See, Adam and Eve, he's between two pillars. He's angry now. He's a demon. He got his hair back, his strength back, but didn't get his eyes back, and he's not original. He's angry because, right? Because what they did to him. So what he does, he stands between two pillars. He brings it down and brings himself down in the process. Because now that they're back, they see Master still right? They're still out to get them. Then they go to war with math that says they went over with the pigs that was over at peace, right? They went over the pigs and swine, and then they got to fight and they went up the cliff together, killing each other. Okay. That's it, brothers and sisters. That's what I'm going to talk about in this today. Okay, brothers and sisters, that's pretty much it. Hope you understand. It's getting clearer and clearer. Are you paying attention? Because everything, we're in it. I mean, everything I was telling you last year, you're already in spirit. I was telling you about insurrection. I told you about this plague. You're already in it. You're already in the angel. You're already in Exodus. See? The only point is how it's going to play out for you. See? You're already in the locust. I've been telling you about that. You already, everything I've been telling you is unfolding like I'm telling you, right on time. See? Now, the next thing you're looking at is war, which is going to break out any day now. They're telling you. I got videos to show you. They're talking about that right now. Send troops over there. See? They line up the Arabs against Iran. That's what that's all about. Said, do not take Jews and Christians for friends. Then why is all the Arab countries taking the Jews and Christians for friends against another Islamic country? See? That means if you do that, you're not one of them. They're telling you right there something's wrong. See? So much going on, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. Okay, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Assalamu alaikum.